everybody. This is a very gentle and restorative yoga practice, especially for those among us who have more limited mobility, but it can also be really useful for anybody who's feeling a little bit achy, a little bit cranky, and wants to find some deep relaxation and also keep that muscle fascia smooth, supple and elastic. We're going to start by lying down on our backs. So lying down on your back with your legs a little bit apart, your arms a little bit away from your body with your palms facing up towards the sky. Begin by taking a couple of very deep breaths in through the nose and then sighing it out through the mouth. And then if you feel able, closing down your eyes, surrendering the full weight of your body down into the floor underneath you. Beginning to tune in to how your body feels this morning. You might begin to notice all the places in the back of your body where you are in contact with Mother Earth beneath. Allow yourself to feel rooted and gently planted here in the lap of Mother Earth. Sinking down and down into those points of contact where you meet the ground. Begin to notice your breathing. When we notice our breathing, it very often slows down all by itself. And we can begin to breathe in and out through the nose where that's possible for you, or just breathe through your mouth if you need to. As you notice your breathing, it very naturally begins to slow down all by itself. And then we can begin to lengthen each inhalation and extend each out breath. Allowing with each out breath that sense of letting go and of release. Let's start by working with just the top 1/3 of the spine, the upper back and into the neck. We're going to move with the breath because we know that the breath acts as a bridge between the mind and the body and draws all of this together into union. So we'll inhale, and then when we exhale, we'll turn the head gently to the left, looking over your left shoulder. Very slowly and gently, inhaling the head back to centre, and then exhaling to look over the right shoulder and inhaling back to centre. Allowing yourself to be fully absorbed in noticing the sensations that you can feel in your neck and shoulders and possibly even into the upper back. Let's take one more cycle of movement and breath to each side, and we'll end on
the right side so that we know that we've addressed both sides of the body equally. It's all about balance in yoga. So then we're going to take a couple of little cat stretches. So we inhale the arms up and overhead and allow the arms and the backs of the hands to land on the floor behind. I'm in competition a little bit with some of my furniture, so I'm just going to wriggle around until I've got space enough. So then on the inhale, we can inhale, lengthen through the body, spread the fingers out wide and point the toes away from the face, make the body as long as possible, hold the stretch, hold the breath, and then as we exhale with a sigh, relax the body, soften and become floppy once again. Let's go again, inhaling deeply through the nose, stretch out through the whole length of the body, and then relax and release on the out breath. One more time. Inhale, stretch through the length of your body. And then as you exhale, release and relax. Notice how it can feel to come back to this neutral place in the body where all is soft and relaxed. So then we're going to draw the knees up towards the chest and give ourselves a nice little hug here. Breathe in right down into the belly as you hug your thighs in tight towards your tummy. One more long breath like this. And then exhale, release the knees a little way away from the chest. And then we're going to stick out our elbows and rock from side to side. Bring your focus of awareness into the back of your body and down into the back waist and the hips. And you'll notice that as you rock from side to side, you'll be getting a beautiful little massage from the hard floor beneath. And just at the moment, any kind of massage would be awesome, wouldn't it? So this is the nearest that we can get to beginning to soften some of the tension from the muscles either side of the spine. We're coming back to centre. We're going to place the palms down onto the floor. And we're going to move with the breath. So we inhale to take the arms up and overhead to land on the floor behind, lengthening the legs and flexing your ankles when your legs are long. And then on the exhale, point your toes away from your face. Take your arms back overhead, knees bent. So we continue in this way, inhaling to lengthen and stretch, and exhaling to smoothly bring everything back to your start position. These long, smooth breaths initiate long, smooth movements. All of the time aware of how your body feels. And at any time, knowing that you're okay to take a rest. This is your yoga practice. You can pause the video. You can take a rest in Shavasana pose, the posture that we began in, laying on the floor, relaxing down into the floor if you wish at any point. Let's take one more cycle of movement and breath like this, and then we're going to bring the soles of the feet down onto the ground, and we're going to lengthen the legs away from the body. We're going to spend a couple of breaths here in Shavasana pose so that we can notice any sensations that have arisen during those postures as a result of those postures and movements that we've just done. Notice how the body begins to soften, but notice that vibrancy that you might be feeling in your body now. The legs are starting to wake up. We're starting to wake up the core and beginning to loosen some of that tight muscle fascia. Let's draw the knees back in towards the chest. Hold loosely onto your kneecaps and roll your knees around in circles. Again, be aware of your lower back. It can feel quite delicious to find that little bit of massage into the tailbone and the back waist. Let's go both ways with those rotations. And then we'll bring the soles of the feet down onto the ground. Clasp your hands just above your pelvis, straight, strong arms. You're going to release your index fingers to point away from your body. The thumbs are crossed over. And then again, moving with the breath, inhaling to take your arms up and overhead, to land on the floor behind, and taking your knees out to either side. And on the exhale, draw everything back to the start. So we inhale, opening up the body, almost like a little spring flower that's beginning to open up towards the sunshine. A beautiful movement to do in the spring. As you take your arms up and over, finding that space in between the ribs, so really reaching out behind you and breathing deeply to get the full benefit of the movement. The next time that we inhale, we're going to take the arms up and overhead, the knees to either side, and then we're going to stay in the extension of the posture, but we're going to hold on to opposite elbows. Now, if any of this isn't really available to you right now, maybe you can't hold on to your elbows, maybe your shoulders aren't so mobile. So if that's you, just find a place for your arms where you can relax. You might have your arms a little further apart, but then you can really start to breathe more deeply, right down into the belly. Notice also that there will be a little gap between your lower back and the floor beneath. That is exactly as it should be. Allow that gap to be there. This is a really subtle, gentle back bend. So then we're letting go of the elbows. Some of us might want to help the knees back together. We draw the knees back towards the chest, and then we're going to start to wake up our core muscles a little bit. So take your arms out wide this time in a crucifix posture and lengthen your legs up towards the sky. I think I might take my slippers off at this point. They're a little bit frumpy, aren't they? Okay, so we're extending the legs up towards the sky, and you'll notice that I'm straightening my legs as much as I can, and I've flexed my ankles as well here. So then you get a little bit of extra length through the calf and the hamstrings as well. From here, we're pressing the lower back down into the floor so that we can isolate the abdominal muscles and really engage in the core. Then we're going to use the legs as if like the pendulum on a clock. So we're just swaying the legs from side to side as if from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And as we do so, it's good to check in with your jaw to make sure that you're not clenching your teeth or holding your breath. You need to continue to breathe. Again, at any point when you want to take a rest, be aware that you can come to Shavasana and rest if you need to. But we'll just continue a little while longer. Really starting to wake up those oblique abdominal muscles. Beginning to energize the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the feet down to the floor and take your leg, extend your legs away so that you come back to Shavasana pose here, palms facing uppermost. In fact, at this point, we'll place our palms onto the lower belly and we'll take a few big belly breaths here. Breathing right down into the belly so that you notice the belly rise and fall underneath your palms. So then, drawing the knees towards the chest. We'll hold loosely onto the kneecaps and then we'll take our knees into rotation, separate rotations, so you're taking the knees towards the chest, away out to the sides and then back together. Some mobility down into the hips and then rotating in the other direction. And we'll bring the soles of the feet down onto the floor. The feet are hip distance apart this time. We're just going to come into some pelvic tilts here. This can feel absolutely magical if your lower back gets stiff, cranky and sore. Your pelvic tilts are where you need to be. You need to be practicing them at least once a day. Alright, so draw the heels in towards your bum. Knees point directly up towards the sky, feet are hip distance. Take your palms down onto the floor either side of your hips. And I'm hoping you'll be able to see this, alright, because I've got a loose top on. I'm hoping you'll still be able to see what's happening. All I'm doing is inhaling, lifting the tailbone off of the floor, just the tailbone, and tilting the hips towards my face. And then on the exhale, pressing the coccyx, the tailbone down into the floor, tilting the pelvis away from the face. And at this point, there'll be a little gap underneath your lower back. You might want to test that out on the first movement. And then inhale, tilt the pelvis towards the face. And on the exhale, away from the face. It's a subtle movement. So just getting used to how that can feel. Noticing which muscles you use in order to create this pelvic tilt. Fully aware of your lower back and into the hips. Now you might want to stay just with the pelvic tilts. I don't know how you're feeling this morning. Or you might, next time you inhale, you might start to peel your tailbone and your spine away from the floor, lifting your hips up towards the sky. And then on the exhale, just releasing the spine, one vertebra at a time, down into the floor, all the way to the tailbone. Then tilt the pelvis away from the face. So then going the other way, inhale, keep those knees pointing up towards the sky, and breathing out, hot tip here. Press down into the soles of the feet as you inhale, particularly the base of the big toe. That will help to engage the inner thigh muscles, taking some of the, giving you a little bit more space into the lower back. If at any point this is too strong, you just come back to your pelvic tilts. Let's take one more moving bridge. And then we'll release the spine down into the floor. And at this point, it can feel really good just to rock the body side to side, just like we started with. Just to soften any tension that may have arisen during the previous movement. Lovely. Now we're going to roll over onto our side, and for this part of your practice you'll need a pillow, or maybe even two pillows depending on how your neck is feeling. Come over to this side. So you're going to have yourself on your side like this, with your lower arm out in front and your upper arm on top, and your legs, your knees are drawn up towards your chest. Top knee is stacked over the bottom knee, and that's exactly where it's going to stay. So decide whether your neck is happy here. If it's not, just get another cushion, okay? Make sure, you might want to make sure that your neck and the rest of your spine is in a straight line, okay? So what you don't want is to be like this with your neck all scrunched up. All right, so have the pillows towards the front of your face so that when you move your head you're not going to fall off the back of your pillow. I must say that a long regular pillow like off your bed is probably really good for this, okay? This can be really good. So we're going to move with the breath just like we normally do. So we inhale, take the upper arm up and overhead to land on the floor behind. And then on the exhale, bringing that arm back overhead, back to your start position. Inhale. Oh, lovely. And exhale. You notice the stretch that you're getting, that space that you're getting in the front of the shoulder and into the pec, into the chest as you breathe. The deeper you breathe, the more benefit you're getting. Now the next time we take the arm up and over, we're going to stay in the extension of the posture. Breathe in here, relaxing as much as possible. Now it may be that you'll want something underneath this back arm so that you can properly relax into this gentle twist. Ideally you're looking towards the back arm. And you're breathing deeply here. Notice where you can feel the twist. Where can you feel the body allowing space on the inhale, expanding on the inhale? Is there a sense of release on the exhale as you soften down into the floor? We're taking that arm back, up and over, and we're going to want to do that on the other side. So for you guys, you'll be able to just flip over onto the other side, but I'm going to swap over like this so that I've not got my back to you. All right, okay. Make sure that your knees are drawn up towards your chest sufficiently. All right, so then you get a better twist. So then starting again, inhaling, the arm up and over, following your fingertips with your gaze. And exhale back. And this time we're going to stay in the extension of the posture. We're going to relax and breathe here. Resist the temptation to allow your mind to wander. Just give your mind a job to do. So the job here is for your mind to be fully aware of the sensations in your body. So when we're aware of how the body feels, the mind usually, very naturally begins to calm down all by itself. Let's bring that upper arm back over the top. And then we're going to come to seated. So it's ideal just to press down into the palm of the hand and come to a seated place here. All right. So let's take the legs out in front. Some of you again might find it much nicer to sit up on a cushion just to provide a little bit of height for the hips and allow the hips to slightly tilt a bit more easily. Flexing the ankles, toes point up towards the sky. On the inhale, lifting your arms towards the heavens to get some length in the spine, and on the exhale, reaching forward, nice and slow. Inhale, draw the elbows back and the hands to the sky. Exhale, reaching forward. Continuing to move with the breath. You don't need to reach all the way forward, just to a place that feels comfortable for you. And the next time we exhale, we're going to fold forward, allow the arms to relax down by the sides of the legs wherever they land, and breathe here. Let go of the weight of your heavy head, let go of any tension in the top of the neck, and just noticing where you can feel any sensation in the muscles either side of the spine, into the back ribs, breathing naturally and smoothly here. Just remembering that it's okay to bend the knees a little bit if that makes this more accessible for you. Modify the postures to make them a little easier if you need to. We don't want to force the body, because whenever we're forcing the body in yoga, we're setting up conflict with the body, and then that becomes, well, that's not yoga basically. So we want to breathe, we want to soften, and we want to have that sense of release. Gently roll up through the spine, lifting the head last of all. Our transitions are smooth and mindful. They're just as important as the postures themselves. So with that in mind, we're going to take the knees to one side and roll ourselves over
onto all fours. This is the point
where you might want to find a blanket. I'm just going to grab a blanket so that I can protect my sensitive knees. So that if your knees are sensitive, I'm lucky because I've got a very soft and bungee rug. But if your knees are sensitive, take the time to protect them by folding up a blanket for underneath those sensitive knees. All right. So we're coming into cat and cow. Okay. So we're going to do our cat and cow movement very, very mindfully this morning. We're really going to focus all of our attention into the spine. So then checking in that your hands are underneath your shoulders and that your knees are underneath your hips. Now I know that many people, if you've got arthritis particularly, you struggle with being on your hands like that. So what you can do in that situation is grab a load of cushions like this, stack them up, all right, and then you can rest on your forearms. Ideally you'd want, just maybe if it's you, you might want a couple more cushions just so that you get a bit more height. All right, so then you can practice your cat and cow like this, taking some of that awful pressure off your wrists if you need to. So that's a good modification for cat and cow. For the rest of us, we're going to spread out our fingers nice and wide. We're going to make sure there's connection between the tops of the feet and the floor so that you feel properly earthed, grounded and balanced here. So then I want you to take your awareness to the tip of your tailbone. Think about the tip of your tailbone. And then on the inhale, lift your tailbone first, sink your mid-spine, and then lift your gaze. You're also lifting your heart space forwards and upwards. Take your awareness back to your tailbone, and on the exhale, draw the tailbone down, arch your mid-spine, and then last of all, chin to chest, pressing down into the palms. Awareness at the tailbone. Inhale, lift tailbone, sink the mid-spine, lift the heart and the gaze. Draw tailbone down on the exhale, arch the spine, chin to chest. So that each time you move from your tailbone and a wave of movement and breath travels up the spine. You can close down your eyes to really allow that focus, that awareness of your spine. Aware of the undulation, a moment of gratitude for a spine that moves but is also strong, so strength and flexibility in the spine. Let's take one more cycle of movement and breath like this. And we're going to come to child's pose. So ideally you would have your bum on your heels, your forehead on the ground, and your arms down by your sides, palms facing uppermost either side of your feet. However, we all know that this can be very strong on the knees. Some people struggle with their ankles as well. So if you're one of those people, if you've got problems with your feet, sometimes it can help to place something underneath the tops of your feet like this. It takes a little bit of pressure off, so rolling up a blanket and placing it underneath your feet can help. It can help to have your arms out in front, or you could have one fist placed on top of the other, resting your forehead on your two fists. Also, if your knees are sore, you could put a pillow or two between your heels and your bum, and that can help also, takes a bit of pressure off those knees. So whatever variation of child's pose you find yourself in, this is your opportunity to exercise the muscles in between your ribs. So we breathe deeply into the back and the side ribs to expand the rib cage. This way you're giving your intercostal muscles a good workout, but you're also keeping that muscle fascia smooth, supple and elastic. Really, really important work here. And at a deeper level, it's a beautiful posture in which you can really connect with your breath. You can really start to go within and really become aware of sensation in the body. And so let's roll up through the spine, lifting the head last of all. And again, we're going to come onto all fours, but this time we're going to have the knees and the ankles together. So I'm going to make a little pad for my delicate knees. So knees and ankles together, hands a little bit wider than shoulder distance. Again, if your wrists are sore, sometimes people find it easier to come onto their knuckles. And from here, all we're doing is swaying those hips from side to side. It can feel better to exhale as you bring your hip down towards the floor. And inhale back to centre. Exhale, hip to the floor. Inhale back to centre. Exhale, hip to the floor. Keeping both knees on the floor at the same time. And then we're going to come to a seated place. So I want you to find a comfy seated position where you can have your spine really nice and long and tall. So there's loads of ways you can do this. You can sit cross-legged with something underneath your bum, or you could sit in a kneeling position like this with some cushions underneath your bum for support. When we sit like this, either cross-legged or in Caesar, this kneeling posture, we want to make sure that the hips are either level to the knees or a little bit higher. And then when we've got that elevation in the hips just naturally tilt a little bit, and that allows the spine to be long and straight, but effortlessly so. Okay, so from here, like I say, you could be cross-legged. Some people find that really difficult for the knees, so I'm going to stay like this. And we're just going to come into a little twist. So let's inhale the hands to the sky. We want to get some height through the spine, and we'll exhale and lower. Let's go again. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. And then this time we'll inhale to lift, and as we exhale, we'll take a twist to the right, just wrapping the arms. Inhale back to centre. exhale. Just trying to make sure I don't swipe my flowers over. Exhale. Finding a gentle twist to either side, nice and gentle. Doesn't need to be massively dynamic. And then coming back to centre. We're going to do a lovely little breathing practice. So this is one of those things where if you're not comfortable, it's not going to really work for you that well. So if you're struggling at the moment, sometimes people like to sit cross-legged but sit with the back against the wall, for example. That can really help as well. Or you could just have your feet out in front with your feet nice and wide. So again, you're still retaining this long upright spine. So we're going to do a little mindful movement practice that's called the Mothering Lotus. It's a beautiful practice because it helps to lengthen the breath. And we know that when our out breaths, particularly our out breaths, are long and smooth, this helps us to tune in with our parasympathetic nervous system. That's the opposite from the adrenaline fight, flight, freeze response. So the parasympathetic nervous system is rest, digest, restore. So we're going to use this beautiful, long, smooth out breath to help aid our relaxation. There's quite a bit of symbolism also in this movement. So let's hope this resonates with you. If it doesn't, just go with it if you can. So we'll take our hands to prayer at our heart center. Now, the prayer posture I've got here is a little bit different from normal. The palms are not stuck together. If you see, there's a little gap in between my palms. This represents the lotus bud. The lotus is a very sacred flower, especially in Eastern traditions, the Buddhist tradition. And you could substitute any of your favourite flower. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So picturing that as a rosebud maybe, or a lotus bud. The point being that the bud is full of potential. Okay, so we're going to move with the breath. So the next time you breathe in, we inhale through the nose and you open your lotus bud. And then as you exhale, bring the backs of the hands together and take your fingertips out away from the body. Then we inhale, and on the exhale, drawing your hands up to the sky and coming back to our lotus bud. Inhale, open your bud, and as you exhale, take yourself out into the world. This represents going out into the chaos of the world. And when we're in moments of chaos and awkwardness, we inhale deeply, and then we exhale. We draw everything back to the heart. Allow your lotus flower to bloom and come all the way back to the heart. Let's go again. Inhale, breathing out long and smooth. Take a deep inhale and exhale long and smooth. Allow your lotus flower to bloom and come back to your bud. And again, inhale, breathing out. Inhale. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing out. One last time to the rhythm of your own breath. And then taking the backs of your hands down onto your thighs, closing down your eyes or softening your gaze, just taking a moment to notice how things feel now for you, the state of your mind, aware of your body, aware of your body in complete balance, a soft and neutral spine, the head floating gently on top of the spine, the breath coming and going naturally. And opening up your eyes and taking your time, taking all the time you need to come onto your back. We're going to be coming to Shavasana relaxation after we've done another couple of little stretches and movements. So it may be that you'll want to put some warm clothes on now so that you're ready for that, or have a blanket to hand. In the meantime, making your way onto your back, we're going to take the spine into some gentle twists. Okay, so we'll have the feet hip distance apart. In fact, we'll have the feet at the wide edges of your mat. So if you're on a yoga mat, which is a normal width of yoga mat, you can have the outside edges of your feet lining up with the outside edges of your mat, and then taking your arms, going to shuffle a bit so you can all see me, taking your arms to either side as if like a crucifix here. So we're going to move with the breath initially. So we inhale deeply, and on the exhale, allowing the knees to smoothly come down to the floor on the left, turning the head gently to look over your right shoulder. Inhaling the knees back to centre, exhale to take those knees over to the right, turning your head left. Inhale back to centre, continue to move with your breath, using your tummy muscles to bring those knees back to centre each time. Now the next time you bring your knees down to the left, you're just going to stay in this posture, stay in the twist and breathe here. And again, engaging your tummy muscles, bringing the knees back to centre, over to the other side, the head turns in the opposite direction. And we'll just stay in this twist just for a few breaths here. once again, coming back to centre. Bring your feet and knees together. Cross your right knee directly over your left, and then draw the knees towards the chest. It might be that all you can do right now is to just lift the foot away from the floor. It might be that you can hold around the back of the thigh or the shin and start to squeeze the knees gently towards your tummy. Keep breathing. You should get a nice little stretch into the side of the hip and into the glute as well. Release. And then a little bit like, you probably remember Kenny Everett, a little bit like Kenny Everett, we're going to swap knees, okay? So this time your left knee is over the top of your right, and then just draw the knees towards the chest. Again, hold behind the thigh if you can reach, or hold the shin and draw your knees towards your chest. Notice if one side of your hip is tighter than the other. Be curious about your body. Be aware of how things feel, the sensations that you can feel, where you can feel them. Do they change as you hold the stretch a little longer? Do those sensations intensify or do they soften? Breathing into that space where you can feel the stretch. Bring the foot down to the floor, uncross your legs, and this is the point where you're going to find all the things that make Shavasana or relaxation pose just super comfy for you. So I like to have some support underneath my knees, for example. I like to make sure my feet are nice and warm. I don't like cold feet, it's bad for you, I'm sure it is. So finding warm things to put on, really, really important. Nice woolly blanket. Some people like to have a pillow, a small pillow for underneath their head. You'll know if that's you. So faff around a little bit. By all means, pause the video while you get all the equipment together that you need. And then we can really go deep and properly relax. Making any last minute adjustments that you need in order to feel like you don't need to move during the relaxation segment of this practice. So we have our legs a little way apart, and we have our arms a little ways away from the side of the body, with the palms facing up towards the sky, ideally here. If your arms are uncomfortable like this, you can just place your palms on your belly. That can feel lovely also. So now it's time to soften the eyelids, close down the eyes, almost like you're rolling down your shutters. Again, we have that sense of surrender, the full weight of the body softening down into the ground beneath. I'm going to imagine the body like a mansion house, a big house with lots of rooms in it. And we're going to go into all of these rooms and we're going to soften the light, we're going to dim the light, and we're just going to soften and relax into each body part as I mention it. So let's start with the top of the head, softening the scalp, imagining that you're turning down the lights, you're dimming the lights in the forehead, softening the muscles around your eyes, dimming down, softening, releasing any tension in the jaw. Let the jaw be slack and relax. Soften the little muscles around your mouth. Imagine that your temples can sink down towards your ears. Starting to notice that your breathing is beginning to slow down. Allowing the breath to come and go just as it is. No need to change your breathing at all. Just notice the breath on its journey down into the body. Bringing awareness down into the throat and the back of the neck. Dimming down the lights here, softening, releasing down into the chest and the shoulders. Turning down the lights, turning down the volume. Aware of space either side of the chest. Aware of the upper back softening down into your mat. Allowing your arms to be loose and limp and heavy. Your hands relaxed with your fingers softly curled. Taking awareness into the midsection of your body, your abdomen, your belly, your mid-back, your lower back. Dimming down the lights, turning down the volume, softening, relaxing and releasing here, all the way down into the hips and the glutes. Space between the hip bones. Your buttock muscles softening and loosening into the floor beneath. Becoming aware of your legs, your upper legs, the thighs, the tops and the backs of your thighs, softening the knees. Dimming the light, turning down the volume, softening, relaxing and releasing further down and down, down into the shins and the calves. Relaxing your ankles so that your feet flop gently to either side. Dimming down the light in your toes, one by one, big toes, second toes, third toes, fourth toes, baby toes, switching off, dimming down, relaxing and softening. Becoming aware of a sense of stillness and quietness in the whole of the body, from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your fingers and your toes. Simply aware of the breath moving through the body. is stillness. All is quiet. There's nowhere you need to go. There's nothing you need to do. And in this moment, nobody needs anything from you. You are planted here exactly where you need to be right now. So then inviting a deeper inhale, bringing light and energy back into the body, imagining the breath as a bright white light moving through the body. Each time you inhale, you draw in some more of that life-giving breath, some more of that healing white light into the body, starting to switch on all the lights in the body, starting with the toes, big toes, second toes, third toes, fourth toes, baby toes, invigorated, brightened with the movement and exercise and the breath, switching on the lights in your ankles, calves, knees, bright white light down in the thighs, up into the hips, the abdomen, all the way up the spine from the tailbone, lighting up the spine all the way to the base of your skull. Brightening now into the chest and the arms all the way to your fingertips, switching on all the lights in the body, into the throat, into the face, breathing that energy and vitality back into the body with every long smooth exhalation, inhalation, and having again that sense of release as you breathe out. Perhaps sighing the breath out now, opening up your eyes, becoming more aware of the space that you occupy upon your mat. This little space that you occupy in your corner of the universe. Bring some light into that space, bringing some light into the lives of all the people whose lives you touch. Taking a little stretch, wriggling fingers and toes, finding some gentle movement in the body before you bend up your knees. Take all the time that you need to roll over onto your side before pushing yourself once again to a seated place. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more relaxed, but also invigorated as well. We're going to close our practice together, inhaling our hands to the sky. Scoop up some of that good positive energy that you've created for yourself and draw it down into your heart center. Dipping your chin to your chest. Taking a moment here just to be grateful that you came to your practice, that you moved your body. A moment of gratitude for a body that moves and that works. I wish for you to feel happy, for you to be healthy and well, for you to stay safe, and also for you to be very much loved. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Have a lovely day.